Hello and welcome to Group 2's final project presentation. For our project, we designed a unit in which students learn how to create a soundtrack for a movie trailer that is given to them. We designed this unit for an 8th grade general music class made up of 10 students. Because of the small class size, we decided that our district is small and rural. This unit is 4 class sessions long and each class is 42 minutes. The majority of students are not involved in chorus, band, or other musical electives. The specific class has been working with GarageBand throughout the year, and therefore they have prior knowledge of how to use GarageBand. This diagram shows how the classroom is set for this unit. It is important that all students have a good view of the smartboard because the teacher will be showing examples on the board. Our first project goal is that our students will be able to use GarageBand and to create a soundtrack for a movie trailer of their choosing. Another goal is that at the end of the unit, students will be able to evaluate and assess their classmates' work in a peer evaluation. We think that using the ISTE standards for students are very important, and therefore we did our best to design our lesson plan to include as many of these as possible. The standards that we used come from the following categories: creativity and innovation, communication and collaboration, research and information fluency, critical thinking, problem solving, and decision making, digital citizenship, and technology operations and concepts. We also use standards from the creating, performing, presenting, producing, responding, and connecting categories of the National Core Arts Standards. The next 2 slides show the questions and understandings that we think are essential to our unit. Please take a minute to read through the questions that we think are important. The materials that we use in our unit are very important. The teacher must have access to a smartboard and the classroom must be set in a way where everyone is able to see the board. Also, each student should have their own Mac computer with a working set of headphones at each computer. The Mac computers must have the GarageBand software downloaded prior to the beginning of the class. There are also a few worksheets that will be used throughout the unit. These will be discussed in more detail later on in the presentation. In Lesson 1, the students see an example of the project. The teacher will show a trailer without sound, and as a class, the students will create the soundtrack to that trailer. While the teacher is leading this project with the class, he or she will teach students how to record loops. At the end of the class, students will be given a list of available movie trailers, and they will be instructed to select their top 3 choices. They will turn this into the teacher when they are finished. To create a loop, find and click on the loop icon. This icon will open up all of the available loop instrument options. When you click on an instrument, the loop options will come up with the name of the loop, the tempo, key, and how many beats are in the loop. In Lesson 2, the teacher makes it clear that he or she tried their best to give each student a trailer that they had chosen. Then, the students are given their movie trailer assignments and receive the rubric handout for requirements of the project. Students are told that they will be giving their presentations in Lesson 4, so they are to begin their project immediately. Throughout the unit, students will be given guided instruction to completing the project. Much of the compiling of sound clips and sound effects will be independent practice. In Lesson 3, students complete their projects. They are shown how to save their video files to iTunes and are given instructions in case they would like to finish the project outside of class. Files will be saved to the class file designated for this project. Students are reminded that presentations will be given at the beginning of the next class. Here, we have taken screenshots to show how to correctly save the video files to iTunes. First, go to Share at the top of the screen and select Send Song to iTunes. Then, this box will pop up. Students will title their project and write their name in the Composer box. Then, they will click Share to share their trailer to iTunes. In Lesson 4, students begin their presentations. Presentation order will be randomly selected by the teacher. Students will be doing peer evaluations by answering questions about each other's work. The presenting student will give a brief description of their project, including what movie trailer it is and a goal that they wanted to achieve in their soundtrack. Students will write their peer evaluations as the movie trailer is playing, and they will have about 30 seconds after to complete each evaluation. Students are able to ask appropriate questions of the presenting student after their presentation. The total time of the presentation, questions included, will be about 4 minutes each. The instructor will be monitoring the students as they write their answers for the evaluation. After the presentations, the teacher will review projects from the class folder and begin the formal rubric assessment. Our supporting materials in this lesson were designed to keep the lesson organized, keep students on task, and to minimize questions and repeat instructions. First, a list of trailers chosen by the teacher will be displayed on the smartboard or on a worksheet. Depending on the interests of the class, some trailer ideas could include Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Alien, Watchmen, Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, Avengers 2, and video game trailers. The students will then receive this worksheet to write their choices for a trailer from the pre-prepared list, and they will hand it in at the end of the first lesson. This decreases time demands on the teacher as well as eliminates another class that may be needed for a revision of choices, while still ensures students do have a choice in their project. The How to Save sheet is intended to facilitate students saving their project independently when they finish, whether they finish in class or choose to finish outside of the class. The peer evaluation sheet allows students to analyze and evaluate each other's work in a positive and constructive way. It also challenges students to connect the music content and/or technology content they have been learning about to each other's work. The rubric states that they use at least one music or technology term in a well-developed thought to receive full credit. The rubric for the project itself contains 5 graded aspects with a maximum of 4 points for each aspect. Students are expected to record 3 or more of their own sound effects or loops and will be graded on how well the sound effects and loops are timed with the trailer, how well the storytelling flows, how creatively they used GarageBand, the number of different types of effects they used, and how well their musical decisions enhance the story. Because a good deal of this rubric is subjective, as is with most music, each point value in each aspect has a thorough description. As a group, we felt that this final project really allowed us to put to use all of the tools we learned in this class. One of the biggest points that we have learned is that we as teachers need to stay current. Technology is changing so quickly and our students are staying up to date, so we need to too. In sharing our experiences with each other, we also agree that we shouldn't be afraid to learn from our students. They are living this technology every second and can be a valuable resource. Working through the lesson plans for the project, we have realized that if we are not explicit and detailed, the whole lesson could be changed. We need to have a very thorough knowledge of the technology we are using before we begin to teach it. If we do not, the meaning of the lesson could be changed and it could not be as valuable to the students. In the form of assessments, we found that multiple options can really be valuable. Everything from peer and self-evaluations to rubrics can be used to evaluate a student's strengths and weaknesses. Peer and self-evaluations can really be telling if the student understands the content material or not. Rubrics given at the beginning of a project allows them to know exactly what is expected of them and how they can go above and beyond. Students are learning in very different ways from when many of us were in school. To continue to be effective as teachers, we need to modify our teaching styles so that we may accommodate the new learner. This class and this project allowed us to experiment with new technology and how to use it so that our students can have a valuable and relevant experience.